and we'll address them at the end of the sessions. So so I can, let her speak at length, and then we do the questions. So thank you very much for talking to us, Luiza. We're very excited to talk to you and talking about Luiza McWilliams a little bit. She is a founder and owner of Acing Ventures, a front-end development and services company based in Atlanta. Acing Ventures serves both small and large universities with clients that include Emory University and Carnegie Mellon University. Luiza previously worked as a project manager from Hannon Hill, based in Atlanta, and also for Boeing as a software developer. I say Boeing in a very Brazilian way, sorry, I don't know how to say it okay, thank you very much, Luiza. I'll let you start without further delay, and enjoy, everyone. I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate the introduction. All right, can you guys see my screen? Hi, I'm Lisa McWilliams. As Anna mentioned, I am a Acing Ventures CEO, co-founder. We started the business 7 years ago, primarily serving universities, and we work with them as managing their websites. So it's nice to meet you all, and hopefully I can offer you some great tips for snagging your first development job, or if you're re-entering the field, your next development job, or starting a freelancer career, because I know that's also something that's of interest to people. If I talk too fast, because I have a habit of doing it, just go ahead and send your reactions out there. I don't know which one, maybe a wave, and I'll know to stop talking so fast, okay? So let's talk about the 3 types of people who make it in this industry. So the 3 types, there are the people who love to learn, who are curious. They're going to spend time outside of work, looking things up, looking at things that they're interested in. They're going to learn, especially about their craft. They're going to grow. If you're curious about different aspects of technology and you love to learn, this is exactly the right place for you. The next type of person is someone who loves to solve problems. So if you're good at problem solving, thinking outside the box, troubleshooting, if you tinker with things, if you like to build things up and then tear things down and then build them again, if you like to go for the right answer instead of just the quick answer, this is the right field for you. Also, if you happen to know somebody in the industry who can give you that step up, that helping hand, that can keep you in a sheltered place until you are ready to spread your wings, well, hey, that works too. I will just say that works too. And that way, if you know somebody, and especially someone who can kind of shield you a little bit, you're not going to get questioned too much. So that's just the honest truth. That type of person will make it. But really the first 2 is one of the ones that you want to be, but knowing somebody is definitely a great way to get into this field. So we're going to talk about career first. And the first thing is, before you apply, we need to think about what you're going to do before you apply. You want to make sure that your resume is clean, it's simple, it's not cluttered. No one's going to look at a super cluttered resume. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you have 1,000 resumes to go through, a cluttered resume is the last thing that you want to see come across your desk. You want it to project personality and confidence in your abilities. You want to have a portfolio that is nice and unique, and is representative. And I'm going to talk about portfolios a little bit more in a second. And then you also want to clean up your LinkedIn profile. So I actually had someone that applied for a job with me for a web developer. And they had on their LinkedIn profile that they wanted to pursue a career in rap, that they wanted to pursue a career in being a video mogul, that they wanted to own a kind of a multi-dimensional company where they were going to be like the king of media. And that's not my field. That's not our area. That has nothing to do with what we were looking for. The person was telling me that they wanted to work with me for 5 to 10 years, that they wanted to grow in this space, that they liked the development. And I go to their LinkedIn profile and I see something completely different. So there's nothing wrong with him wanting to be a rapper or wanting to be an aspiring media mogul. It's just that if he's going to change gears, then he needs to reflect that on his LinkedIn profile. And if he's not going to change gears, then he probably shouldn't be applying for a job with me. So make sure that you clean that up and that it reflects, that your LinkedIn profile reflects the type of job that you're actually, the types of jobs you're applying for. So tips for your portfolio. Very important here. We don't want to have, if you went to a boot camp, if you did a coding boot camp, or if you've done some courses or you found a GitHub repository, those are not the things that you want on your portfolio, because everybody's got them on their portfolio, and then you don't look unique or special or different. Then they think, okay, well, this person took a boot camp, they put all their examples up here. What have they done since the boot camp? Or what have they done since the course that they've taken? Or are they continuing to learn and explore in this space? Or is this the height of what they can do? So you don't want to stick to anything like that. You want to make sure that you put some fresh examples on there. So ideas for how you can get fresh examples. You can show initiative, things that you're passionate about. The great thing about having something you're passionate about on your portfolio is that if an interviewer asks you about it, then you're energized, right? Because you're talking about something that you enjoy. You're talking about something that you like. So you're, coming to them and you're bubbling over with excitement about it. And then the interviewer can kind of catch that enthusiasm. So it's always nice to have something you're passionate about. Any type of job that you can get from a local business. A lot of local businesses, if you are doing websites specifically, they need website help. You can see it all over the place. So anything in that space. Also, if you're doing some back-end development, if that's more of what you do, there's also businesses that need help there. And if anything that you can do that's kind of visual, or that you can put on your resume, for instance, if you haven't had a job in a while, or something that you can show on your website, or even kind of talk it out on your website, what you did, even if it's something that you can't show, that's always going to be really helpful. And I would suggest getting paid for this. Even just because you don't have anything on your portfolio doesn't mean that you should work for free. You can ask them for, you can tell them what your rates are. You can make because you're new or just getting back into things, you can make your rates lower than competitors, which is also going to make them more interested in your product. And once you've built out a little bit of a history there, that's also giving you experience, right? So the experience that you didn't have on your resume, now you do have, because you have worked with businesses that need those things that you're looking for. If you have any friends or family members that need some assistance with anything that's close to what you're interested in, then that's also something that you can do. You can also charge them. So, don't be afraid to charge them. Not as much as you would charge the businesses, of course, but yeah, taking on jobs for family members and friends is also a great way to build up your portfolio. And you also have someone who's a little bit more patient with you as you're learning, right? So that's a great way to do that. The important thing I would say too with your portfolio, if you're going to take this to an interview, is know the technologies that you used. So I saw someone once, they gave me a portfolio and their whole website was built using a third-party software. All the examples of all the portfolios they had built were using third-party software templates. And it didn't give me a lot of confidence that the person would know what I needed for my job. I didn't even get to the stage of interviewing them. This was just based off their portfolio. So try to build it yourself. Take the time to actually build it yourself, and it will reflect well on you. But also know, what you're using. If you are using code, I mean, we all do. It's very, it's a great way to build, is learning using code pieces and examples that you've seen from other people across the web, but know how it works. If someone were to ask you, how does this work? Why is this doing this? How is the drop down doing that? Know the answer. So whatever you put on your portfolio is something that you should know inside and out. When you're looking for a job, I will say that resumes alone are not going to get you anywhere. So if you are dependent, you spend all this time, you even spent money maybe to craft the perfect resume, and I'm going to send it to these jobs and we're going to get the job. That's not how this works. In today's day and age, face-to-face time is very important. So if you don't have a lot of experience, or if you've been out of work for a while, you want to go where they're looking for inexperienced people. college career fairs. You don't have to go to the college. You don't even have had to attend college. But college career fair is where they're going for people who don't have any experience. So you go there, you show your face, you show your personality, you get that time with the recruiter, you talk to them about yourself. You have your, your business card or your resume that has your portfolio on it, that has all those things that we just discussed from your portfolio. And then it doesn't matter, what your career status was, or if you went to that school or not, the person remembers you, they look at your portfolio, and then you get an interview. So don't be afraid to go to a college career fair if you don't even attend that college. A lot of them are open to the public, and you can go there and find people who are looking for the type of experience that you have, which, might not be much. If you do happen to see a job posting somewhere and it's a job that looks interesting to you, try to find the hiring manager on LinkedIn, or even an employee who works there, and send them a message. Find out more about, ask more about the job. See, if you see some interest that they have that's in common with you, send them a message about that. But you never know what can come from making contact with the individuals in charge, because if you just send a resume in, you are a nameless, faceless of 1,000 different individuals. But if you get that face-to-face time, or if someone sees you and you can actually get them to even look at your LinkedIn profile, they might not even respond to your message, but they might take a minute to look at your LinkedIn profile because you sent them a message and say, well, who is this? And you might even be able to get a connection that way. And then the last thing I will say, you do want to have a nice resume. It should project confidence. But I would also say that if a job is asking for a cover letter, it is not an optional thing. I know a lot of places, or I've had this happen to myself, where people will send you a resume and you ask for a cover letter, they don't send one. If they're asking for one, that's a way for you to stand out, because a lot of people aren't going to send it. And then the cover letter is a good way for you to talk about yourself, to give a little bit of personality, to tell them a little bit more about your experience, maybe even some experience that you left off the resume because you wanted the resume to be clean and simple. So you can add some of that stuff back in your cover letter. You can also share a very little bit in the cover letter about what you know about the company and how you might be an asset to that company. And if you just send a resume, the company doesn't know any of that. But if you put it in a cover letter, so if it's optional, do it. If they don't ask for a cover letter, then I guess they don't. But if it is an option there, make sure that you create one and that you do it. And, these days, ChatGPT has been very helpful in helping people write those. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can ask it what's a good cover letter, but make it personal, because, a lot of people are running things through ChatGPT scanners to see, who's copying. It needs to be personal, but ChatGPT can give you a good place to start in terms of how to structure it. Should you sign up with a recruiting firm? So you're tired of looking, you've been applying, maybe you just want to sign up with a recruiting firm, maybe they can get you in front of people faster. If for those of you who aren't familiar, the recruiting firms a lot of times will work with you for free up front, and then they will take a cut of your pay for the next year or two, sometimes 3 years, and that's how they get paid back for helping you to get a job. And then so a lot of people will sign up for recruiting firms, and then a lot of people are scared of recruiting firms because they don't want to give up part of their salary. So sometimes the recruiting firms are working with the business and getting their money from the business side if they recruit you directly. If you sign up with a recruiting firm, then you usually will sign a contract with them, and the contract that you sign will specify those terms. And that's how they get paid. You want to definitely read the fine print if you sign up with a recruiting firm. Make sure that there's nothing in there about what happens if you have to leave the job early, or if you get fired, or if you quit. In terms of paying them back, make sure that you read that. Or if you get another job while you're signed up with this recruiting firm, does that still count as you have to pay them? Make sure you read the fine print if you sign up with one, is what I would have to say. It's the first thing I would say about that. But there are some people who have found success with recruiting firms. So I do know somebody personally who graduated from community college. They signed up with a recruiting firm. The recruiting firm took money from them for their first 2 years of the job. But while they were working in that job, they were able to gain a lot of experience. They were able to parlay that experience into eventually moving into management. And now they have a team of people underneath them. They're making 6 figures. So it can work with a recruiting firm. The last thing I would say about the recruiting firm is that you want to make sure that you and the recruiting firm have the same ideas of what kinds of jobs you want to do. I have worked with a recruiting firm personally to bring people to me, and the people that they brought to me were just anyone that loosely fit the definition of what I was looking for. So there were a lot of candidates that actually weren't, they didn't have the experience that I was looking for or weren't actually the right fit. So sometimes the recruiting firms will be indiscriminate with your resume and not put you in front of the right people. So you want to make sure if you are going to work with a recruiting firm that you talk to them extensively about what it is that you're looking for, what kind of jobs that you would be good for. When they send you a job, make sure that you review it and that you would be a good fit. Because if you interview for jobs that are way above, any kind of type of scale of what you qualify for, then you're wasting your time and the recruiter's time and the business owner's time or the company's time. So nobody wants that. I would just say that, with the recruiting firms, there are success stories, but I would, just caution you to be a little bit careful that they either A, might not always have your best interest in mind, or B, they might set you up by, getting you in front of a job that you're not ready for. What types of jobs should you apply for? So I've talked a little bit about just now about jobs you might not be qualified for, but what you do want to look for if you've been out of work for a while or if you're looking to get your first development job is you want a job with a good team dynamic. So you want people there that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can discuss code with, that are they have a supportive environment. They have developers at different levels that are open, and that's kind of the types of jobs you want to look for. You don't want to be looking for a solo development job as your first development job, or even if you're just now coming back into the field, because you need somebody there, you need people there to, brainstorm with and to learn best practices and new information. If you go into a job as the solo developer, then they're going to look at you to be the expert. And if you don't feel like an expert or don't think you're an expert, that's going to be a bit of a problem. So I would not look for jobs where you are going to be the only person on the development team, unless you are highly experienced. Next would be jobs that have a strong training program or mentorship program. So if they're going to train you, excellent. If they have mentors that you can talk to when you're, getting into the new work environment, you're not sure, how the office is and how the dynamics are and, who are the power players. Having somebody that's a mentor who can kind of guide you through the process is extremely helpful. An internship or an apprenticeship. So those are kind of rare to find, and some of them are even unpaid these days, but it can help you get some valuable experience. I know some people who have started their careers that way, and I think that would be that can be a very good way to get your foot in the door if you're not able to find a straight up full-time job and get a little bit of experience. The other benefit with the internship or an apprenticeship is if you are, a little apprehensive about your skills and you're just now getting your feet wet, they're not going to expect you to know very much. It's going to be very, environment where you can learn and grow. So that's what you want to look for. And also within applying with jobs, we want you to think outside the box. Okay. Some of you, if you've been out of work for a while, or if this is your first development job, most of you have probably worked some other type of position before that. So you've come from being a hairdresser or being a restaurant owner, or I mean, not restaurant owner, sorry, being a restaurant worker. You may be a server or something to that effect. You've come from a different, space. I've known some people in these different spaces, and they decided to, they wanted to further their careers in development, and look for a way to break into that next level of income. Think about where you have come from. There are, apps. So, Uber Eats and DoorDash and those things, they didn't come out of anywhere. They came from somebody trying to solve a problem. Back to the three types of people that are really good for this career: problem solvers. So if there are problems that are being solved or need to be solved in the industry that you've come from, that's a good place to look for jobs. So for instance, hairdressers, there's a lot of apps now for when you're getting your hair done, it's to schedule, to find a hairdresser near you. And then some hairdressers use those to book clients or to schedule their clients. If you come from that field and you know exactly what hairdressers are looking for, well, a business who is trying to sell an app to those hairdressers might want to hire you because you can consult them on what's important. Not only do you have some tech skills, but you also know that side of the business. So if there's other businesses that you have been heavily involved in, that some of the problems that they might need to solve, or you've seen some of the apps or tools that are being technological tools that are being recommended to them, those people have businesses and companies behind them. So go find out about that company. You might not see them on Indeed or LinkedIn or advertising, but you have a skill set that can be used there. And you might have to go through a few of them before you find someone who can appreciate that. But there will be, all you have to do is find the one company that is looking for a blend of those skills or can see the value in it. And that could be a way to get a job. Another unique way to find a job is to look in your area. A lot of these tech villages have been popping up, startup companies. They're always looking for people, even if they don't say they're looking for people. So you can go ahead and, try to find somebody who works there. If you know where these tech villages are, these tech, communities are, go out to lunch. You can go to the Chipotle or the Moe's across the street. They'll come in there for lunch and you can start asking questions, like, hi, I noticed you came from that building. How's your job going? Do you like working there? What kind of company is it? Don't bombard somebody with questions. I'm giving you an idea of some questions you can ask, but don't ask them all. Just, pick one or two. But yeah, you can talk to different people, and that face-to-face time, they might, oh, actually we are hiring, or, oh, actually I know this company is hiring. And you might find out that way from, information that isn't on a website, isn't showing up on LinkedIn or Indeed. And then that means that your competitor pool is less, right? The less people who are applying for the job, the more opportunity you have to, stand out or to even be available. So that's something that I would definitely say, there are other ways to get jobs than the traditional ones. And I would say a lot of the traditional ways are just, it's too much noise. So you're not going to stand out. But if you go make that face-to-face time, make those connections, that's how you can, those are the ways that you can look for jobs. I would say for your first job, don't be afraid. If it's your first job, don't be afraid to take a lower salary to gain experience. Just keep in mind what your worth and your value is. Grow those skills, suck the most that you can out of that first job, learn everything that you need to know, and then negotiate at the second job. It's like, okay, especially with it being a tough environment. If it was a, free-flowing environment right now where everybody who wanted a job could get a job, I would say, hey, negotiate and get that, get your top dollar. But while it's a tough job market, what you want is experience. You want to learn where you want to be. What area of technology are you interested in? Where can you grow? Where are your skills most required? Learn those things at the entry-level job and get that experience. And then once you have it, start applying to jobs that are going to pay you more, and you can be a little bit more, picky with your salary at that point. So just keep it in mind, know your value. Don't jump from one low-paying job to another. Soak up the skills and go for your next job to be the high-paying job. My number one tip for snagging a job is network, network, network. Okay. I know that for some people, they are hesitant to use their connections. For other people, that's all they do is use connections. But I will say that in the environment that we're in now, connections is how you get jobs. If you know somebody in your field who has job openings, ask them about it. Ask them to recommend you, ask them to introduce you to the hiring manager. If you know someone who owns a business who is looking for somebody, they're your friend, say, hey, can we work together? Even if they're not your friend, if they're just someone in your network, do you think I would be a good fit for this opportunity? Talk to whoever you can. You just never know where your networks might lead or how they might turn into something even later on down the road. These meetups that you attend, like today's meetup and other meetups that you might attend, you can meet people there. Sometimes employers are there lurking in the shadows, but network, just meet people, talk to people, ask about where they are, where they've, what's going on in their current environment, talk about what you're interested in. Even if the person is not somebody who is in the same exact field as you or doing something that you want to do, they might know somebody who is. So talk to whoever you can. A lot of people get jobs from people that they know. That's how people are getting jobs, especially in this market, and especially in the face of these nameless, faceless resumes that are floating around. If somebody, goes and says, hey, I know this person, that moves their resume to the top of the pile. So don't be afraid to tap into your network. LinkedIn is good for that, but also people that you just know that you can actually talk to, that you can call up on the phone, people who are in higher positions. If you have a really good friend who's, way up in a company, they can talk to somebody lower in the company and push you up to the top. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way the world works. It's who you know is how you can get a job. So maximize those connections. If you don't have connections, start building them. That's definitely my suggestion there. For me personally, a little bit about my background. So you heard about how I worked at Boeing and then how I worked at Hannon Hill. But how I got from Boeing to Hannon Hill is kind of an interesting story. So Boeing, I was working as a Java developer. So this is all back end and working with SQL databases and things like that. I didn't have a lot of web experience. I did come from a master's in information systems. So I did have a little bit of technology experience in terms of education. Sorry, I had technology education, not a lot of experience. I did build a website for someone while I was there on campus, but since then I hadn't worked in the web space at all. So then what I did was while I was working at Boeing, large companies, sometimes you have a lot of downtime. So I had a lot of downtime between parts of the project while I was waiting for someone else. And I said, well, hey, like, let me see if I can, build a website for another company. And I knew a friend who was working for an accountant, and the accountant was looking for someone to build a website for them. And so my friend said, well, you're looking to build websites and my boss is looking to have a website. So why don't I introduce you guys and then you can maybe build a website for him. So I did a presentation for him. He liked the presentation. He hired us. This was back in 2012. We sold the website, me and my business partner, for $2,000, which was a lot back then for individuals with no experience to sell a single website. And we sold the website to him. And then because I had this web experience, I liked working in the web tool. I had to learn this web tool all from scratch. I used something called Joomla. I don't even know if it's still out there today, but it was an early stage CMS. And I had never used it before, but I learned it. And then I was able to build the website on it and, produce that. So when I started looking for jobs, when I was interested in leaving Boeing, I applied for a web developer position. And because I had built this website for another company, because I had taught myself a CMS tool from scratch with no outside help, the company was pretty impressed with that and decided to hire me on, even though I didn't have any actual work experience in that environment. So that's a way where I'm actually using these tips that I gave you. I found a business, I built for them, and then I was able to use that to get my next job. And from that next job where I learned all about web development, I was then able to start a company where I provide those services to higher education clients. So you always want to, kind of see how your different experiences that you have, how they can shape the next part of your journey. And it all started from a friend who worked for an accounting firm, which is anywhere close to what I'm, doing. So you never know how those networks can help you. My next tip is when you're interviewing. So when you're interviewing you've made it to the next step. We've networked. We've found a job that aligns with what we want. We have, gotten our portfolio together. We've cleaned up our resume. So now we're at the interview stage. Especially for a lot of women, it is hard to project confidence. You want to look down. You want to be, humble and modest and things like that. But in the tech environment, confidence is key. Even if you don't necessarily know exactly everything that you need to know, you need to project that you can know it. In your interview, you want to make sure that you are prepared. You want to learn about the company before you go there. I suggest if they have a big website, go 3 levels deep and learn something there. Learn something 3 levels deep into their website so that when they're talking to you or you're talking to them, and you're asking questions, you can ask questions that show that you actually know about the company. You care about the company. You're actually interested in the company, not something off the homepage that everybody can read and recite. It's something that they know, hey, this person actually did research because we don't even usually talk about this. So that's a really good tip for interviewing. You want to ask questions of your interviewers. So what are the desired outcomes for someone in this position? That's a great question. Someone asked me that question and I almost wanted to hire them on the spot. I've never been asked that question before, but it shows me that you actually care about achieving and being successful in this field. You want to know, what do I want from you so that you can hit those goals? That's very impressive to an interviewer. The other kinds of questions that you want to ask are, are there training opportunities? What is the team dynamic? Are there mentorship opportunities? So we're looking to ask those questions because while they're interviewing you, you also need to interview them. You need to know if this job is going to be a good fit for you, if it's going to be be a job that you can be successful in. If you don't know an answer during a technical interview, this happens to all of us. Don't pretend like you know, because they're going to know that you don't know. Just trust me, they will know. So what you want to do instead is tell them how you would find out the answer. So if they ask you a question about how would you do this in CSS and you don't know the answer, you say, well, I know this about CSS, and I do know that there are different ways that you can do things. So what I would do is go to developer forums where people are posting solutions. I would ask ChatGPT, I would Google, and I would learn about the different methods that I could use to do this and find the most efficient one, and then I would implement that. That's showing that even if you don't have the answers, you know where to find them. Stack Overflow, be specific about places where you have gone because you built the portfolio, right? So there's been places that you've gone to learn the different things that you needed to build the portfolio. So bring those things out in the interview. And then they know, hey, this is somebody, maybe they're a little green, maybe they need a little training, maybe they don't know everything, but they know where to look. So they're not going to come and bug me and ask me every 5 seconds about something they don't know. They know where to research, they know how to find answers, they do know a little bit about what we're talking about, so they're not completely, ignorant of what we're asking, but they know where to go to find their solutions. So that's something that's important. After the interview, you want to make sure that you that you look up what you didn't know. So if they asked you a question you didn't know about, go find out because you're a learner, right? You're a learner and you're a problem solver and you're curious. So since you're curious, find the answer. And that way, maybe at the next interview, if you get asked a similar question, you'll have the answer ready. So that's what I would say, how to answer questions you don't know. Make sure that you bring a lot of personality and background to your stories. Sometimes they'll ask the generic, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And a lot of people will say, I am very prompt. One thing is I might show up before you turn the lights on. I might, I'm early riser. I'm going to be the first one in and the last one out. And they've heard this all before. But if you say something like, well, since I was a child, I was always the first person in my desk at school. I couldn't wait for the teacher to start writing on the board. I had a perfect attendance record. And, being prompt has been something that's always been, part of who I am. You don't need to say that exactly. But the idea is that you are sharing who you are, and then the person can see this is not some boilerplate answer they're giving me from offline that they found online. It's an answer that's actually proven in their life experience. So you want to make sure that when you're giving your answers, you're showing that this is who I am, and this is what you're going to get, because that's what the interviewer is looking for. They've already seen your resume. They've already seen your portfolio. What they're trying to find out is, who are you? And so if you can show who you are when you're being interviewed, then that's going to be very helpful for you. I would say after the interview, make sure that you thank the interviewer for their time. This is a lost skill. Not a lot of people are doing this anymore. I interviewed maybe 10 people over the last couple of months. Not a single one of them sent me a message to say, thank you for your time. I appreciated meeting you, etc. It would go a long way, honestly. So I would say that that's a soft skill that people have lost. If you can do that, it's going to go a long way with the interviewer. If it's between, you and 5 other people and you're about even and you send that email, well, now you're at the top of the list. So make sure that you thank them. You can thank them during the interview, sure, but if you send a message afterwards, that's gonna go a long way. And if you don't get the job, even after all of that, ask them why. I mean, you don't know why. If you feel like you did everything great, then what's missing? And if you keep doing everything great and you get, you keep losing out on interviews, you might want to know, well, why is this happening? If you don't ask, you're not going to know. And if you ask, you might find out, well, you kind of had low energy during the interview, or, this job that you were applying for, we don't feel like it's quite matching your skill set, or, you never know what you'll find out. But if you do, then you can tweak that for your next interview. But if you don't ask, you're never going to know why, and you're going to keep spinning your wheels. And that's where you'll be left. So if this is something that happens to you routinely, that you get to the 3rd or 4th stage of an interview, but you don't actually get the job, Ask them why. A lot of employers will, there's some rules and regulations a little bit, but a lot of people will just be like, okay, she actually wanted to know. Let me respond. And then I'm one of those people that will give you a thoughtful response as to why I didn't interview. Sometimes whether you ask me or not, I will let you know, because I don't like being left in the dark. So, that's what I would like to, let other people know. But if you don't want to be left in the dark for why you're not getting very far, ask them. After you get the job, okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I will just say, after you get the job, don't stop learning. Don't say, okay, I've made it. I can just, stick to what I've learned and we're just going to keep there. Outside of the hours that you are being paid, if it's hourly, if it's salary, you're being paid, your set amount. But outside of work, keep learning. You are a learner, you are a problem solver, you are curious. So if you see things around the company, like even projects you're not involved in, ask a few questions. Make friends at your company. Make friends with the different people in teams that aren't yours. What happens if your department downsizes? If you know a bunch of people in the team over here, guess who you can go talk to? Like, hey, do you guys have an opening on your team? Because my team's about to downsize. Keep networking and keep learning. So if you've been learning outside of work and you've been learning a little bit about what that department is doing, then it's not like, oh, my department's going down. Can you guys bring me on? It's, I actually have seen some things in your project and maybe you guys want to consider A, B, and C. And then they're like, oh, well, they actually know what we're working on. Come on aboard, and they might save you. So especially in a market where one department might go and one department might stay, making sure that you have, kind of a broader skill set can really be beneficial to you. So 2 months in, we've also asked during our interview, what are the metrics, right? On the job, ask your bosses, ask your managers, ask the people who have been there longer than you. What are they looking for? What do they expect from a high performer? What is it that they want you to achieve on this job? I mean, any boss will be happy to answer those questions for you. They know what they're grading you on. So you know what you're being graded on. And if you know what you're being graded on, then that's what you can continue learning outside of your work. Like, oh, well, they might be giving you busy work, but they really want to see somebody who excels at this thing. Well, the busy work they're giving you isn't in the same, if it's not in the same area of what they want you to be knowing, that's what you can be learning outside of work. And then when an opportunity comes, you'll be ready for it. 4 months in to the job, 4 to 6 months in, we want you to make sure you're putting yourself in the best position to succeed. And so that means that you don't want to take on projects before you're ready, but offer to assist. If some other higher performer is doing really well on something, shadow them. Find out what is it that they're doing right. Who are they talking to? What is it that they know? Go and learn all of that stuff. Then you can be the high performer. And then around 9 months in, you want to be known as the person that people come to. You're the one who has solutions or can think of solutions or solve those problems. You don't want to be the person that's in the corner that's still asking a bunch of questions that they should have learned 4 months ago, or the one that's complaining about, oh, well, why is such and such getting all of the work? Why are they getting all the praise? Or why is the company giving me all of this, busy work? Or you don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that people are coming to, like, hey, I have this problem. Let me bring that person in because I know they know stuff. That's who you want to be. So these are the kinds of things that you need to consider after you have the job, so that you can continue to grow. And even if you decide not to stay in that job, all of these things are going to benefit you so that when you go looking for the next job, you will be ready. Other considerations, if you aren't a problem solver and you don't really like learning, it might not be that development is for you. You might have spent money on a boot camp or you might have spent time learning code, but it's not really a passion of yours. You can take those skills that you've learned into other areas: marketing, social media manager, technical sales, web content editor. So sometimes people just need someone who knows a light amount of CSS and a light amount of HTML, and there you go. That's where you can fit in. Even if you don't have to continue learning and growing, you just have to know a little bit. Maybe you just learn a little bit over time, but it's not going to be, anything intense. Web accessibility tester, that's huge right now. And being a tester just means you have to know what the rules are. And once you know the rules, you're good to go. It's not something you have to continue to learn. Email template developer, a technical project manager. So if you come from a background of project management and now you have a little bit of technical skills, well, you can now be a technical project manager. Business liaison. Businesses are always looking for someone who has soft skills so they can talk to normal people, but then they also have tech skills so they can talk to developers, because sometimes developers and business product owners, they're not speaking the same language. So if you can speak both languages, you're in. So this is the kind of careers that you can consider if development or software is not quite the right fit. And with that, we're going to start transitioning into the freelance. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, so if we're okay to keep going, we'll move on to the freelance section. Just thinking of other skills that you have, other skills that you've learned. So we talked before, if you coming from the hairdresser industry or, some other background, think of what skills that you have that you've learned there. If you were a hairdresser, a lot of them have to hustle. They have to be organized. They have to market their skills and their services. They have to be a good people person. You've developed a lot of skills in whatever career you've come from. Figure out how you can combine those with the new dev skills that you've just learned. This is where you want to start thinking about freelance opportunities. Where can I market to? If you are going to build websites, for instance, and you were a hairdresser, well, you know what a hairdresser needs to show off. So you can start marketing websites to hairdressers. Maybe you become the person that all the hairdressers go to build out their website. I talk about websites a lot because that's kind of my background, but any kind of if you want to build an app that helps from different places that you've been, a restaurant app, or to help people with different restaurant concerns that you've seen, or wherever you've come from, you have some skills that you've learned, and you can combine those skills with your dev skills and figure out where you need to go. So with the freelance quick tips, consider your niche. So what makes you different? What kind of problem are you solving that hasn't been solved? Are there different places where you've seen something that there's only a few people in that space? Well, if that is if that is something that you see, that's a problem you can solve. That's where you want to go with freelance. So you can focus on one or two things that you enjoy, that you do really well, see what the market is like out there. And that's what you want to build towards. If you find, sorry about that. If you find people that are doing that kind of work, ask them about it. What direct competitors may not be willing to share so much, but if you're new in a space, sometimes people will share things with you and you can learn a lot from the industry out there. But you can also check their websites, see what they're doing well, and see what you can do different. Like if you can do the same thing but slightly different, and that edge that you have from those previous skills that you've acquired, or from that problem solving where you know the answer to the problem, that's where you want to find your space. Look for a mentor, so somebody who's done business before, who is successful. Ask them how they've achieved their goals. Ask them for tips. Even sometimes one little thing that they can point out to you can save you a bunch of time and effort. One thing I would point out is find a company to start your business, your LLC, or whatever you do. Find a company that's going to file that paperwork for you, because it's going to save you a lot of time and it doesn't cost that much money. Once again, have a nice portfolio, have a nice professional website. Think about what you would want to see if you were a client. We're all consumers in some way. We're buying things. Why do we buy what we buy? Think about why you buy something, and then make sure that your website shows that. Make sure that your website has a domain name that is recognizable. It's your business or your name. Don't have a bunch of, dots after it, like .web. Like if you buy a third-party site, then you have like your name dot application name dot something dot co. Like that's just too long. Make a nice professional website. It's like $20 a year. Just, buy the domain and be professional. Be very clear about the services that you offer. Be very descriptive about how you're different from anybody else. And then also, kind of try to give an idea of pricing if you can, so that people know, okay, this is somebody I can continue looking at. Or, if sometimes if you're looking for something to purchase and you don't have an idea of the pricing, you might just keep going. So you find somebody who has prices, so you can have an idea if the item is in your price range. So it's the same with services and businesses. Last thing I'll just say about this is freelance right for you? Business ownership is very hard, very, very hard. There's so much to learn. If you are not self-motivated, if you don't love to learn, if you can't figure things out, if you're not willing to research, it's probably not the right fit. So that's just something that you want to consider. And I'm going to kind of wrap up because I think we're out of time. If you're going to partner with someone, consider it like you're choosing a spouse. Partner very carefully. Know the ins and outs of that person, when they rise, when they sleep, how they work, how they think. Don't just partner with anybody because they're cool or you like them. Know how they operate, because it's like being married, okay? So, and as a married woman, I'll tell you, marriage is hard, business is hard. And try to pick out a business, especially if you're in the tech field, try to pick out a business that doesn't require a lot of capital to start, doesn't require a loan. Businesses fail all the time. So have a high tolerance of risk, but don't spend too much of your own money, because you don't want to end up broke trying to pursue your dreams. So that's just my 2 cents on the matter. And I'm gonna just wish you guys the best of luck. I hope these tips are going to be helpful. If you do happen to know anyone who is a technical project manager, we're not actively hiring right now, but we're always sourcing resumes, and that would probably be the next position we hire for at Scene Ventures. So info@sceneventures.co will be a great way to reach out to us. But that's what we, so if you guys happen to know anybody, network, right? So that's what we'd be looking for. Thanks. I don't know how much time we have for questions, but I'm here. I'm still available if you guys want to hang out. I'm gonna have to drink a little water though.
This is amazing session. We are hands down. We cannot stop listening. It's just been so informative, so informative. Every question which crossed my mind, you covered without even asking. We do have a few questions on the chat, and I'm gonna start with Audrey Park. She's asking any advice on reputable and affordable places to buy domains for sites.
No, that's a tough one. I need to look into this myself, because I was buying my site domains from Google and I loved them, and then they got bought by Squarespace. And I haven't had any issues with Squarespace yet, but I'm not sure that I want to renew yet. So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for you right now. But hey, if you find out, let me know, okay?
Thank you. I have a question. What are the most important skills or like qualities that employers are, besides coding skills, obviously, are looking for a new developer hire?
I would say somebody who is personable. Like, you don't want to hire somebody who you think is going to be disruptive to the team. So you want someone who's friendly, who has a positive attitude. That's really important. Someone who has good writing skills, and can speak well. And when I say speak well, it's just, they are able to explain themselves well. That's really important. So I would say communication skills are number 2. Maybe even number 1, actually.
Amazing. Thank you. We have another question. What's your thoughts on AI?
AI, I mean, it's a good field right now if you have a great idea that someone hasn't taken yet. There's a lot, and even if someone has taken it yet and hasn't marketed it enough, I think it's a great way to get in. My company is definitely positioned to move there next, and in developing a product. So we're hoping to release something before the end of the year geared towards higher education. So yeah, I would say definitely it's a space to be taken advantage of. I think that AI is not going to it's going to grow. It's going to be a growing field. I don't think it's going to take everybody's jobs like everyone's so afraid of. Even if you've used ChatGPT to code anything, you'll know it doesn't know everything, and you can try to implement the solutions it gives you, but if you don't actually know your stuff, then it's not going to be helpful. So I think right now it's more helpful as an assistant. I don't think it's going to take over people's careers. I know that's something that some people are concerned about, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Thank you, Lisa. Next question is, how can someone with little professional experience effectively showcase their ability during the hiring process?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part?
Yes, absolutely. So how can someone with little no professional experience effectively showcase their ability during the hiring process?
Yeah, so definitely having that having that portfolio it will show off your skills. And if you have gone to businesses and talked to them and gotten some small jobs, that is experience. So you can put that experience on your resume and you can talk about that experience during the interview. So I would say if you don't have experience, go get some. There's a lot of places out there that can use the skills that you're looking for. And if you offer your skills at a low price, they'll take you up on it. So if you don't have experience, go get some is what I would definitely recommend.
Thank you, Lisa. Another question. Imagine you are starting today and and you have no experience. The companies are hiring only experienced developers. What would be your strategy in order to land your first job as a developer?
Yep. So same thing. Go and get that experience. Go talk to a few people, network, use your network. Somebody, how did you get into this field in the first place? Who told you about, that development was a good area for you? Somebody, somebody. So talk to people who are in this industry. If you don't know anyone, like I said, you can go outside of where a lot of these businesses are, start talking to them, make friends, go to these meetups. There's, if you're anywhere you go in the world, there are usually some sort of tech communities. Join a community. This is a community right now. Network. Find out who has hirings, who is available, find out what they're looking for. On your own time, go off and build the things that you want to be working on in the future. If you're highlighting them on your portfolio, who's going to say you don't have experience? If you've built it and you know how it was built, that's experience to me. So I would also say sometimes smaller companies are willing to take a little bit more of a risk in terms of, someone who has less experience. So that's also another place that you can look.
Thank you, Lisa. I have one last question because we have more, but we'll ask a last one. For someone like I just built my first website for a client or like an example project. Where can I find a mentor or a experienced person to sort of review, check, and make suggestions so I can, properly present it to an employer?
If you need somebody to review and check, I would say once again to check in with your network. So if you know anybody in the tech field that's a good friend of yours, but if you don't, honestly, while you're trying to get your stuff together, there are these little websites with like I forget what they're called, but there's these like little websites that you can go to hire freelancers. So you could hire somebody for an hour that will review everything for you and make sure it's correct or even give you feedback. Like you can pay somebody, I don't know how much they charge. Some of them charge like $20 an hour, some charge $50 an hour, but hire somebody for 2 hours to give you an hour or two or however long, depending on how big your website is, and ask them like, hey, can you review this and give me some feedback? So that's what I would do. Worst case scenario, if you don't know anyone, that's what I would do.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. That was Lauren's question.
No problem.
And
I
I think that's our last question. Do you have any question, Anna?
Oh no, I just it was very clarifying. I didn't know you could hire someone. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we just want to say thank you so much, Lisa. We feel honored to take away from your time. It's been such a valuable information. It's going to help a lot of people who are still on the market looking to kick in or being come back from maternity or burnout. This is going to help a lot of our members. Thank you for the preparation. Congratulations for the slides. They look amazing. And if you can share with us or just a little bit of screenshots, it would be nice. We're gonna post your social media so people can connect with you as well. And we're gonna prepare a recording so people who are missing our session will be able to see and listen of your insights. Thank you so much, everyone, for today, and see you soon. Thank you, Lisa. It's been awesome.